I want to welcome you to Conversations Across Generations and the Center for Rising Generations mission as a hub for youth-led change. It's great to see so many of you for this November Conversation Across Generations, where we spend just a few minutes talking with young leaders who are shaping what's next and the people walking alongside of them. Again, I'm Kaya Henderson, Executive Vice President at the Aspen Institute and the head of the Center for Rising Generations. And I am so excited about this month's conversation. This month, our theme is culture, power, and participation. Because today, culture is where civic participation begins. From the videos we share to the communities we build online, young people are using digital platforms to lead, mobilize, and change what civic power looks like. And today, whew, I have a guest extraordinaire, my friends. I want to welcome our new friend, Rachel Janfaza, journalist, storyteller, researcher, and the founder of The Up and Up. Rachel has spent years amplifying youth voices in politics and culture. And through her research, she's explored how social media has transformed youth-led organizing and participation in democracy. Welcome, Rachel. We're so excited to have you with us today.
Thank you so much for having me, Kaya. I'm excited to be here.
Well, let's go. I mean, we only got a few minutes. And so, first of all, I just want to shout out The Up and Up. If you're not following Rachel's Substack, you are totally missing out on everything that you need to know about Gen Z. But Rachel, so much of your work has centered on how young people are using social media, not just to build communities, but to organize, to build power, to tell stories, to spark movements. So I want to ask you, from your work and what you're seeing, what is the role of social media in youth-led organizing, and how is it reshaping power, participation, and what it means to lead?
Thank you so much for having me and for this huge question. I think the role of social media in politics, civic engagement, and social organizing is massive. We cannot begin to even try to cover it in these 5 minutes, but it is it has really redefined how young people engage in civic life and in politics. And if you think about it, the youth led social movements over the course of the past decade plus have really been made possible because of social media.
Yeah.
And it has made it so that young organizers can create chapter based networks that exist in different geographies across the country and allow them to identify and organize around singular messages that can be amplified in different spaces. And so we see this it happen in a myriad of ways. Most notably, maybe the start of the Gen Z social movement was really with the March for Our Lives after Parkland in 2018. And social organizing looks really different now than it did then. We're in a post COVID dynamic. We're in a very different political situation than we were in 2018. But we have seen young people organizing both on the left and the right because of the way that social media is a tool that allows for this type of connection. And so while, Parkland was an example on the left, you look at something like Turning Point USA on the right as a massive network of young people that has really been made possible because of social media and the way that these platforms and these programs can be replicated in different geographies around the country because offline action happening via the online organizing.
Yeah, I mean, help us understand. You said it's different even now than it was in 2018, right? I was just with a group of older people talking about how to make civic engagement more exciting to young people. And literally, somebody was like, we just need to make more TikToks about this. And I was like, there's a lot that the olds don't understand about digital organizing and how people think about civic engagement. So, just say a little bit about what you want people to understand about how organizing is different.
Yeah. So, I think there are lessons and tools that were adopted in the 2018, 2019 sort of, let's say, Trump 1.0 era that I think still are relevant and important today, but the political context has changed and young people's relationship to social media has also changed. So I talk a lot about how there are two Gen Zs and how Gen Z 1.0 and Gen Z 2.0 were really split down the middle by the COVID-19 pandemic and also the technologies that they grew up with. So I'm on the oldest cusp of Gen Z. When I was in high school and most of college, TikTok didn't exist. Whereas the younger part of Gen Z 2.0, they grew up with TikTok. And so to, your colleague's point about making more TikToks, TikTok is obviously a place where young people get their news and its prevalence has risen over the past 5 years. It's basically 5x the way that young people are engaging with social media for news. But that doesn't mean that it's the only sort of tool in the toolkit in terms of how people are getting their information and how they're organizing. I think there have been really effective strategies in organizations that have used TikTok really well. If you look at a group like Gen Z for Change, they've led a number of petitions and made plenty of calls to lawmakers because of organizing that they did on TikTok. And TikTok also certainly is a platform where different personalities and activists can share their opinion pretty widely and pretty quickly. But I also see a lot of the adrenaline and attention now happening in person engagements. And so you look at thing on the right, like a Turning Point USA, which yes has a TikTok presence, but it also has a really strong ground game. And I think it is really critical in 2025 and beyond to be mixing and blending the online strategy with the in person tactics. And so that's why I started by talking about sort of the chapter based networks that exist with many successful youth led movements, because it allows there to be leaders in different areas across the country who all have a similar message or similar ideology that they share. It's sort of a roadmap for how they go about their organizing that they can then deploy on the ground in their own communities. And, this is actually something that we have worked on at the Up and Up as well. We have ambassadors who are in different communities and campuses across the country. And by having these ambassadors who are kind of leaders for us in these areas, we're able to tap into youth sentiment and the zeitgeist in many different spaces and kind of get a broad sample and be able to better understand that way. So, from a media perspective, from an activism perspective, I think just mixing that online presence with the in person community driven engagement is super critical. And if you look at our political context right now, most recently we had the 2025 elections, and here in New York City, where I'm based, we saw that Zohran Mamdani's campaign actually really effectively blended those in person and that online engagement as well. And so we see it happening both from the youth activists point of view, but also from the youngest candidates point of view as well, as something that is successful for getting young people involved in civic engagement.
That is it. That is the nugget. It is not just social media. In fact, I mean, it's just a reminder that culture and technology are not distractions, that they are how a generation finds its voice and its power. And this generation is empowered with the tools of social media or digital tools, but is also in is deeply it's deeply important to them to be able to connect in real life with real people. And so this hybrid approach, I think, is if you take nothing else from this, friends who are trying to organize young people, it's both and not either or. So, Rachel, I just want to thank you for joining me. I also want to thank you for the work that you're doing to document and elevate youth leadership in all of its forms. We follow you. We are fans. We look forward to keeping the conversation going. And to everyone who is watching, we look forward to hearing from you. How are you using social media to lead or to make change in your own communities? Drop your thoughts in the comments or tag us using hashtag conversations across generations. I'm Kaya Henderson. Thank you for tuning in, and keep leading with courage, compassion, and creativity. We'll see you next month.
Thank you, guys.